Good afternoon, John Donovan.
Hey, Marty Keller.
Good to see you, and welcome to everybody to this installment of the Intentional Living podcast. Marty Keller here in Sacramento, California, John Donovan in Oceanside, California. Please, if you like what you're hearing, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you're always informed about the latest upload of one of these podcasts. Now, what's the Intentional Living podcast, you might ask, if you're here for the first time? Well, we're working on identifying and dealing with patterns of behavior that show up when, especially those that we say we don't want, like having a thought that I'm in the middle of an argument and then I might realize the other person's right, and I continue to argue anyway on my side. So there's kinds of
Right.
behaviors
Yeah.
that we can call compulsive. Or there might be behaviors where our mind says, I need to do this, and I don't do it. And so there's
Right.
something about human psychology that is at work here, and the intentional living process is designed to help us understand that and then do something with it, to create something out of it, to create something different. Once I know, once I know what's going on with me, once it's been revealed as to what my compulsions really are, then I have the opportunity to befriend them and to make them allies and then turn it into something else. And so, uh, in our last podcast,
Right.
we were talking about some of the experiences that you've had, John, in particular, and I'm sharing some of my own experiences about uh, how beginners approach this work, and what are some of the things that you notice with the beginner's mind. What kind of expectations do you notice? What kind of fears or reluctances or skepticisms? And you began by sharing with us, and people can refer to last week's podcast if you want. You began to share with us some of your initial experiences when you were doing this in the jails here in Sacramento County, and you were sharing with us the approach that you chose to take, and that was the basis of our conversation. In fact, we titled last week's podcast "I'm Not Here to Help You," and
Right.
we talked about that in this approach, in the intentional living approach, everyone's assumed to be an adult. Everyone's assumed to have
Right.
value as a human being. You didn't say this, but I've heard you say this before, and maybe this is a place that we can start, is that nothing I can do, no behavior that I can manifest, no thought that I can have will change my value as a human being one way or the other. That human
Right.
value is a constant truth, and this is what this is where it might be a place where most of us start doing recovery because we don't believe that about ourselves. And if I don't believe that about
Correct.
myself, I'm likely to project it onto everybody else and not believe it about anybody. And so in recovery, the atmosphere that we create in the meeting is starts out with the honoring of every person who comes, regardless of the issue that brings the person, regardless of how terrible that person thinks his or her life is,
Right.
or his or her behavior has been. Um, we don't see it that way. We just see it as a fellow human being going through life, seeking to know him or herself at a deeper level and seeking to learn how to create and generate the life that we want.
Correct. Yeah. I'm hearing you speak from years of recovery. Um, um, I don't know. I really don't know what people think when they come into recovery. I do know what I thought. Um, and it was like being told how to do it right, how to be a good person. It's like a bullet point class, just do these three things and then you'll be okay. Um, and what I didn't realize was that I had a subconscious that had an opinion about how I should be in the world based on what I perceived as a child. One of the traits of an adult child, family of origin dysfunction, childhood trauma, is fear of authority figures. So the classroom is set up in the traditional way where the clients come in and then the facilitator is up front or speaking first or
At the
moderating
podium.
the stuff. So the at the podium or in the big chair. um, so I was afraid of authority figures, and I saw criticism as a threat, and I didn't know that consciously. My behavior exhibited that, but I didn't put those two together. So one of the first things I talk about is the mechanism that created my behavior. And one of the spurring things that started me thinking about this early in my recovery, I heard somebody say, "This is a cunning, baffling, powerful disease." So my question was, "Oh, cool. What's cunning?" Sage, yeah, okay, I need to hear that. And it didn't answer my question. So in the back of my mind, what's cunning, baffling, and powerful? Um, and the word I use is logistics of dysfunctional behavior. What are the steps? What's happening internal with me where the end result is that pattern of behavior I'm desperate to do something different. I'll swear up and down I'll never do that again. And it could be sometimes 10 seconds later, boom, there I am again. I'm back in that. And it's baffling. It's cunning, baffling, and powerful. So what I've discovered is people come in with this frame of reference. Whatever theirs is, I know mine. And their frame of reference, based on where they're at, we're either addicted or in some kind of mental distress or compulsiveness that they can't seem to master. They have the same type frame of reference, and it includes fear of authority figures, see criticism as a threat, think that helping somebody else is more important than taking care of yourself, which is part of the codependency. So I speak out of that frame of reference, out of the traditional classroom. Like, I'm not here to help you. I tell them right off the bat, I'm not here to help you. You don't need my help. You all look okay. You're live and breathing. I'm here to offer you information. And then I talk about the patterns I had: alcoholism, codependency, rageaholic, workaholic. And there's a myriad of more patterns also, but I stick to those four. Um, and how I broke the pattern. And I broke the pattern by understanding that this behavior was learned. I learned it, and realizing that this behavior, feeling the consequences of that behavior. Alcoholism kept me isolated and alone. Rageaholic kept me, kept everybody else on pins and needles around me, like walking on eggshells. Um, and I wanted something different. One of the things I was blessed to realize is when I told the truth about myself, I like, the end result of dysfunction or childhood trauma. Um, and that rageaholic part of myself is I classified that as mean to the point of cruelty because I would just go after somebody and just not give up. And I could see the cruelty in that. So I own that. I'm mean to the point of cruelty. And I felt something. I couldn't describe it, but I felt something relieved in that statement of truth. And then what I would say is what I want to change that specific behavior with my pretty constant, and when I said that, is I intend to be kind or I intend to be gracious. Um, and things started changing. So the logistics is wherever you're at, there's something inside of you that thinks that's a good idea. Now, it hurts, it's destructive, it causes separation, isolation, aloneness, it causes destruction. That's all true. I was finally able to realize the truth about this behavior, um, and then intend to change it. The subconscious trauma was created in my childhood, and I survived. I survived my childhood by shutting down, distancing myself from my emotional feeling body, using my rational mind to figure out what they wanted, how they wanted it, or a lot of times it was going into a rebel, like I'll show you, and doing something on purpose just to irritate people. As a kid, I can remember doing okay. So that learned behavior is how I survived. So my internal mechanism got that for me to live, I had these behaviors. Now that none of that was conscious. It all came from my subconscious. And in this process of what we call accountability tree, just saying the truth of where I find myself, I felt something different. And we were talking about new people. I do this introduction where I ask them, what do they want that they don't have? And it's like peace of mind, confidence, capacity to forgive. And then I talk about the obstacles, which are your experiences. Because when I first got out of recovery, some old guy, kind of looked like I do now, said, "You're the best you got, the most intelligence you can come up with, got you into this door," and that really ticked me off. It's like, what? Are you calling me dumb? It's like, okay, but I'm going to say the same thing to people in a different context because I ask them what they want that they don't have, and then I talk about this process. My experiences have created beliefs, perceptions, and patterns of behavior for my survival, and I have expectations of myself around what's good, what's right, good behavior, a standard of living that I apply to myself that is completely undoable. In other words, nobody can live up to that standard of perfection, production, and presentation the way it should be in my mind. Um, and I learned that these patterns of behavior were in alignment with the trauma. So when I owned a pattern of behavior, like I'm an alcoholic or I'm mean to the point of cruelty, in the context of blame-free, judgment-free, somehow, some way, and I really can't really articulate how this works, it validates, yes, you were hurt. Yes, that hurt. And I could feel something in my body relieve or feel like, oh, sad, like hurt. And in that feeling state, I would create an intent. I intend to be kind. I intend to be gracious. I intend to be sober. And that went back into the subconscious, which means now my experience of self-validation. This is so counterintuitive. I just said I'm mean to the point of cruelty, took a breath, blame-free, judgment-free, and I said I want to be kind. Well, that's like it counters all the therapeutic methods that I've been exposed to, maybe I didn't see, that said be good, be virtuous, like be affirming. Well, all that admonition to be good, be affirming, was covering up this big ball of trauma that needed to be expressed. Your subconscious will manifest, and it manifests in your life. So, in the process of telling the truth and validating some of the trauma, which reframed, I have a different perception about what that trauma was now because I've attended to myself. I've nurtured myself by saying the truth. feeling the consequences of that truth, like separation, isolation, I would actually see faces of the people I hurt, namely my partner at the time and or my children. And that was like, oh my God, I don't want to do that anymore. I intend to be kind. Goes back into the subconscious and manifests for me, just like it manifested me to the point of cruelty, alcoholism, rageaholic, workaholic, codependent, because of the trauma. That's how I survived. Now my survival is attached to kindness, graciousness, because that's my intent. I am speaking right now after 37 years in recovery, 27 years doing the accountability. I am manifesting from my subconscious. It's like, the good news is now I know it. So if something
Right.
deviant comes up, and usually when I'm driving, it's like, oh, that idiot. I'm like, oh, there it is. That's a projection. That's something that subconscious is holding on me, and I don't know it, so I project it out. So I just do the tree. I go, okay, I'm gonna own my projection. I'm an idiot, and I'll do it right in the car. Nice deep breath. Of course, I would think that. Nice deep breath. I intend to be a defensive driver. I intend to be observant and considerate on the road. Because everything anybody else has done on that thing that I'm criticizing, I've done at least 10, 15, 20 times myself, like not paying attention
No.
or pulling over when somebody's in my blind spot, or come on. Um, and so it's different. This process demonstrates new behavior. Something changes. And my question to people who, even if they've just done it once, what's different? What do you notice different? And that engages the rational mind into, because that's what the rational mind does. It takes things apart. That's what it's for. It's not my rational mind wasn't designed to be in relationship. My heart was designed to be in relationship, and heart and subconscious I'm using synonymously, because relationships are dynamic and fluid, and they flow, and there's conflict. My mind can't handle that. My heart can. So in the healing subconscious heart, my behaviors automatically change. I don't have to think about how to be kind. In fact, when I first said it, I had no idea how to be kind because I was mean. I was reactive. And I found myself, one of the demonstrations was in a situation that I would normally puff up or yell, I simply took a breath. Oh, that's different. How did that happen? Oh, my subconscious has been reframed, been healed. Some of the trauma has been addressed, and so it manifests, and it manifests differently. And I simply pay attention to what's different.
There's a couple of points. There's a
And
couple of points that you raised here that I'd like to maybe explore more. Um,
okay.
First of all, it's the process that you have just outlined is something that for most of us takes time. I mean, it is true
Yeah.
that it is true I may experience relief in the moment when I tell a truth, and I may need to do it again and again and again because in a certain way,
Absolutely.
I don't know if the metaphor works, but in essence, we're reprogramming that subconscious belief system that was created by a scared little kid or a terrified little kid
Yep.
in order to survive.
Yep.
And then because survival happened,
Mm-hmm.
this became true. This defense mechanism became the
Yep.
truth. And then it
Yep.
led us into doing behaviors that are contradictory to our thoughts. And we ended up in an intentional living meeting. So first of all, it takes time and it works. So that's the first point. And then the second point is
And it
that,
works.
and it's related to this, I think, and again, I'd like your thoughts, is that when I do this work in a group setting, there's some kind of psychic or spiritual energy that helps accelerate this process of creating this shifting belief system in my subconscious. There's something
Hmm.
about doing this with a
Yeah.
group that, I mean, we can do it one-on-one with a therapist, or you and I do one-on-one work with people, and that's great. And there's something in the group process that has an accelerant to it. So your thoughts?
My wounding, my trauma came in the presence of people necessarily, and it's advantageous when my healing comes in the presence of people. Alice Miller talks about a child being in a dysfunctional situation. And if there's somebody in that family, people he knows or she knows, that's a enlightened, she calls them enlightened witnesses, where they console the child. For me, it was my grandma. My grandma would just like treat me like a little, like I was okay. You know, I'm gonna go out and catch butterflies. They, okay, let's make you a net, and then I'd go out and catch butterflies, and she wouldn't like disparage. She just like, okay, that's what kids do. Um, um, so when my healing is witnessed, I agree with you. There's a like a I'm going to call it kickstart, or it's a different dynamic in the group because you're being witnessed by people who are, for the most part, blame free, judgment free. Um, and yeah, my recovery has been in meeting after meeting. And then once I learned the accountability tree process, I tell people if I had a number of how many times I've taken something to that tree statement, that practice, it would be an astrological number. Is it astrological or big number? Um, um, because it works. And sometimes I've done work on one aspect, um, specifically my 8 year old, who was, I call him the petulant 8 year old, who was seriously wounded and was resistant to trust me, is what I've come to understand. So I paid attention to that one multiple times about it's okay, I'm going to be okay. Um, and I'm not going to blame or judge you. Just yeah, okay.
You know, it's interesting that in adult children of alcoholics, we refer to this process that we're describing here as reparenting. And as I was listening to you,
Right.
we're actually learning to treat ourselves the way we should have been treated, like your grandma,
Yes.
like treating ourselves like
Yeah.
that enlightened witness, like it was also my grandmother as well, rather than treating ourselves the way that our wounded parents treated us. So every time, so going all the way back to the
Right.
beginning of this conversation, when we treat each other as adults, we're treating each other, we're parenting ourselves in a way that teaches us how to be with other adults. We're receiving the loving approval of supporting learning how to do that. That's what the group does for us. It I may make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I may blurt out things that embarrass me. God knows I've done that in group meetings. But similar to your experience
Yeah.
of your first AA meeting, the group doesn't go, "Oh my God." The group goes, "Okay, tell us more."
Yeah. Yeah. That's. I remember like no nobody threw a fit or go oh my God, you did really.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh shoot, how could you? It's like no, it didn't happen. No.
yeah. And some of us have even had the experience of trying to get the group to throw us out, of trying to behave in a way that people would then say, "Okay, that's it. We can't take you anymore."
Yeah.
And you know,
Right. Right.
a really grounded group sort of goes, "Okay, what's going on? Tell us what's happening with you. What's the issue?" And again, that's
Mm-hmm.
treating each other as adults, and it's honoring And again, what does a little kid want? A little kid wants simply to feel that he belongs or she belongs in the family
Right.
and that the parents
Exactly.
approve of the
Yeah.
kid. And so that's what the group
Right.
does. The group provides that
Hmm.
experience. And like little kids, sometimes,
Right.
like I said, we'll try to test it and see if we can provoke the group into not loving us and supporting us as the way we are. But like you, I've been in thousands of group meetings, and I haven't been able to get anybody to do that yet.
Yeah. 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 Cool. So it's a I was blessed with this information, how it came together for me, and how I can again, I use the word logistics. You know what's going on internally with me, with my memory. We call that the subconscious memory. That's 9/10, and it's not because I was in recovery or I was from a dysfunctional family. Every human being on the planet is has the capacity to remember everything that happened to them, especially the things that were uncomfortable or dangerous, so that they were prepared for that in the next moment. They if feeling tone or a situation were familiar, they could react in an appropriate time for their own safety and comfort. in the in my childhood trauma, everything became intense, like on a scale of 1 to 10. Um, Danger, one is like a discomfort, and 10 would be like somebody's trying to kill me, and I would react in that on that intensity with something like somebody burnt the toast, or um, because whatever happened to me as a kid was life threatening. It was being ostracized as a 2 year old is death. There's so much fear in that, to be connected to something safe. Parents are safe. And when they're not safe, creates all kinds of things in my, um, well, the results: alcoholism, codependency, rageaholic, workaholic, to survive. And avoidant behavior is one of the things that, how I couch it. And what I'm avoiding is being in my body, because it was too scary. It was too dangerous to be authentic, to be genuine, to be spontaneous, because I could get hurt or I could get ostracized. So I had to calculate all my stuff. And, um, kids still explore. And the punishment that I got wasn't in alignment with the event that I had created it. So I got, don't be and this wasn't a conscious thing. Don't be spontaneous. Don't feel anything deeply, um, and get the job done. Quit complaining. And I was a mess. I was a mess. I needed help. By the time I was 39, that's the best I had. Got me to go into the rooms, because I was done. I don't know. I was helpless. I wanted help.
I was a mess, and now I'm not.
Had to hit. Yeah. Yeah, I hit whatever my bottom was, and luckily it wasn't, doing 25 to life.
Yeah.
Um, I call my bottom. It was a fairly high bottom. There's some people's bottoms is really atrocious. So
Yeah.
underneath a bridge, yeah, all kinds of
Yeah.
things.
Well, before we wrap up here, I want to just let people know there's a lot of information I think we're coming up on our 6 years of podcasting. And so
Oh yeah.
there's a lot of information in the various podcasts about the the way this works, the structure of childhood trauma. There's some that we have conversations about the neurology and the physiology of this. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if you'd like to follow up more about the information, or some of the things that we talked about here, there's a whole library of information on the our YouTube channel. And or send us a note through make a comment on YouTube if there's something you'd like us to talk about. We'll be happy to take it on. So and as always, if you'd like to participate in a meeting, there are 4 intentional living meetings a week, facilitated by John, myself, and 2 of our colleagues at different days, different times. Information on how to join those meetings will be at the end of the podcast. So we invite you to come and learn what the heck we've been talking about. And with that, John, before we close, any final thoughts?
I'm grateful. I'm blessed with. I've been blessed with this information, and I intend to tell as many people as possible. Yeah. So.
All right, I support that. And so,
Okay.
thank you, John, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks,
You
everybody.
got it. Thank you, Marty.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.